In that day the Lord with his hard and great and strong sword will punish Leviathan the fleeing serpent, Leviathan the twisting serpent, and he will slay the dragon that is in the sea. That's from Isaiah chapter 27 verse 1. Now everyone knows that biblical beasts like dragons and leviathans are just myths, right? They're powerful symbols, metaphors for chaos, not actual creatures. But what if the Bible's descriptions of these creatures contain biological clues that match real animals, some extinct and some still alive today? Today we're going on an expedition. We're exploring whether the dragons, leviathans, and behemoths found in Scripture could have actually existed in Earth's natural history. Now, this isn't about disproving faith or trying to rewrite the Bible. Instead, we're applying a scientific lens to these ancient descriptions and asking one simple, fascinating question. Could these creatures have been real? Let's begin our journey on land with the mighty behemoth. In the book of Job, chapter 40, God describes this incredible animal. He says, "Look at Behemoth, which I made along with you. It eats grass like an ox. Its bones are tubes of bronze, its limbs like bars of iron, and its tail sways like a cedar." So, what do we get from this? Behemoth is a massive land animal, an herbivore that eats grass. It lives near rivers and marshes. It has extraordinarily strong limbs and bones, so strong they're compared to bronze and iron. And most importantly, it has a tail so large and impressive that it sways like a cedar tree. Think about that for a second. Have you ever seen a cedar tree? It's huge. Some people have suggested that Behemoth was a hippopotamus or maybe an elephant. But let's be honest. A hippo's tiny tail doesn't exactly sway like a tree, and an elephant's tail is more like a thin rope. Some extinct giant mammals come closer in size, but none of them have a tail that resembles a tree trunk. However, a sauropod dinosaur, something like an Apatosaurus or a Brachiosaurus, fits the biblical description remarkably well. It was a massive herbivore. It possessed enormous strength and dense bones, and it had a huge muscular tree-like tail exactly like the one described in the book of Job. The comparison is just uncanny. Before we dive into the sea to find Leviathan, it is worth mentioning a fascinating scientific idea that could connect to these giant creatures. The theory of the pre-flood firmament, sometimes called the vapor canopy theory. In Genesis chapter 1, the Bible describes God creating a firmament that separated the waters below from the waters above. Some researchers have proposed that before the Great Flood, Earth might have been surrounded by a layer of water vapor that acted like a protective atmospheric shell. Think of it like a giant natural hyperbaric chamber. If this theory holds any water, the pre-flood world could have had higher atmospheric pressure, increased oxygen levels, and less cosmic radiation, all wrapped in a warm, stable global climate. Supporters of this idea argue that these conditions could explain why early humans in Genesis lived for centuries, why plants and animals may have grown much larger, and why creatures like the enormous behemoth could thrive so easily. Now, it's important to say that mainstream science generally rejects the canopy model, mostly because a water vapor layer that thick would likely trap an extreme amount of heat, making the planet uninhabitable. Even so, the basic concept is still really interesting. We know for a fact that Earth once had far higher oxygen levels, especially during prehistoric eras. Those conditions gave rise to giant insects, massive amphibians, and incredibly large plant life. We also know that modern hyperbaric chambers can speed up healing, boost cell regeneration, and improve oxygen absorption. So, while the canopy theory itself is speculative, it offers an intriguing scientific backdrop for understanding how ancient animals, including biblical beasts, could have reached such massive sizes. With that context in mind, let's move from the marshlands to the open sea. Let's talk about Leviathan. In Job chapter 41, God gives this absolutely vivid, terrifying description. He asks, "Can you pull in Leviathan with a fishhook? Who can strip off its outer armor? Its snorting throws out flashes of light. Flames stream from its mouth. Sparks of fire leap forth." So, Leviathan is depicted as this enormous, armored, and frighteningly strong aquatic creature, completely beyond human control. The book of Job describes something that looks like fire or smoke coming from its mouth and nostrils. In Psalm 74, Leviathan even seems to have multiple heads, where it says, "You crushed the heads of Leviathan." And back in Isaiah 27, it's called the twisting serpent and the dragon of the sea. Some have said it's a crocodile. A croc fits some of the traits, like the armor-like scales, but it just doesn't match the immense size or the whole fire-breathing thing. A whale fits the power and scale but doesn't have armor. But what about extinct marine reptiles? Creatures like mosasaurs, pliosaurs, and the long-necked plesiosaurs match the biblical descriptions far more closely. These were the apex predators of the ancient oceans. They had enormous jaws, massive bodies, and powerful tails. Some even had bony plates that could be interpreted as armor. But what about the fire? That sounds like pure fantasy, right? Well, maybe not. Several living creatures today produce heat, light, or incredible chemical reactions. The bombardier beetle creates a boiling hot chemical spray to defend itself. Many deep-sea creatures use bioluminescence to create glowing light. Even a whale, when it expels pressurized mist from its blowhole, can catch the sunlight in a way that looks fiery or sparkly to an ancient observer. So Leviathan's fire might not have been literal flame, but a real natural phenomenon described in the poetic and awe-filled language of its time. And that brings us to dragons. The Hebrew word Tannin appears 21 times throughout the Old Testament, and it's translated as dragon, serpent, or sea monster. In Genesis 1:21, the text says, "So God created the great sea creatures," using the word Tannin. In Jeremiah 51, a dragon is described as swallowing someone like a monster. In Ezekiel 29, the Pharaoh of Egypt is called the Great Dragon of the Nile. These descriptions paint a picture of something far larger and more powerful than any modern lizard. They sound like enormous reptilian creatures associated with oceans, deserts, and ancient ruins. Think about it. Across cultures all over the world, dragon legends consistently appear. They are almost always described as large, powerful reptiles, often capable of flight or breathing fire, and they inspire either terror or awe. Many historians believe these legends might be rooted in real encounters with giant reptiles, or perhaps in the early discovery of dinosaur fossils, long before people understood what they were. Finding a massive dragon-like skeleton eroding out of a hillside could easily create stories that would last for thousands of years. So when we put myth and science side by side, we see some really interesting parallels. Behemoth's cedar-like tail looks more like a dinosaur's than any living mammals. Leviathan's armor, power, and seemingly fiery breath align better with extinct marine reptiles and known biological phenomena than with any modern sea creature. And the dragon legends that appear across so many cultures could very well be ancient memories of encounters with large reptiles, their fossils, or other extinct megafauna. When you look at it through this lens, these creatures start to look less like pure mythology and more like ancient records of real animals. So, could biblical beasts have actually existed? From a zoological viewpoint, many of the details in Scripture align surprisingly well with extinct species and what we know about ancient environmental conditions. From a theological viewpoint, these creatures also serve as powerful symbols of power, chaos, and the sheer majesty of God's creation. Perhaps the answer is a blend of both. Maybe ancient people encountered these incredible animals, or their fossils, and preserved those memories in their sacred texts, weaving together natural history with profound spiritual meaning. The world was once home to giants, and perhaps the Bible remembers them. If you enjoyed this exploration into the world of biblical zoology, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and thanks for watching.